the more I learn about the issues between men and women, the more I'm like, I don't even know if we're the same species. We're so different. We're way more different as male and female humans than like, you know, a male and a female dog, it just seems like. Anyway, hi, welcome back to Far From Eden. It's good to have you here. If it's your first time, welcome. Today I am going to respond to a couple of comments. You guys have the best comments, and particularly from the last video when I talked about, I read Paul Harvey's letter to my grandchildren and talking about like how what he wishes they have, the struggles. You know, one of the things he said was, I hope you get a black eye standing up for something you believe in. And all these hardships that children go through to build character. And you just don't see that nowadays and haven't seen it for a while. Anyways, I asked you guys, could you please tell me, you know, what generation you're from, if this rings true for you, did you have that kind of an upbringing, etc. And you guys, amazing comments from millennials to seniors. It's been so cool to read what you guys have to say, and then talking back and forth about, you know, the ways you were raised. You guys are talking about Boy Scouts in there and your different experiences. It's just wonderful. And there's just not enough time in the day for me to read all of them and respond to all of them, but I do see most of them and I really appreciate them. I really appreciate your guys' comments. It's amazing what a woman can learn when she shuts up and listens. Oh boy. So I've chosen a couple of comments. One of you I told, I think I need to respond to that in a video, because I started thinking about how am I going to respond to that, like writing it. And I'm like, it reminds me of Princess Bride when he says Indigo is going to fill the man in black in on what's going on. And he says, no, there's too much. Let me sum up. And I thought, I mean, I'm not going to sum up, but I just think it's going to, I don't know. I can't even talking about it without getting jumbled. But anyways, so, and then there's another one that's not overly complicated, but I think there's so much in its simplicity that it's like, and this is where I started just at the beginning of this video talking about, man, we're so different. Because I'll be going along and then there'll be a question from a man and I'm like, whoa. Like, no, well, of course, like, yeah, what women do doesn't make sense. So they're just like, why do they do that? What are they doing? And it, you know, I get it. Anyway, this first one is from D Hickey 5919. He says, thank you, Eden. This thing where women can conjure up a fantasy world and fantasy partners is pretty darn confusing. Honestly, a bit scary too. I'm wondering now if some of the anger out there has to do with reality proving to be different than their creation. Achieving a happy partnership and a stable family is hard work. Pushing things off to wait for the ideal man to walk through the door doesn't really make sense. Where does this fantasy stuff come from? There's a few questions in there. First of all, don't discount the whole Disney idea. You know, like happily ever after. We women, I think we're more susceptible to seeing narratives like movies, books, stories, and everything has a happy ending. And it's not just happy. Let's say it's not just happy, it's easy. It's an easy ending, right? And it's usually an easy ending for the ones that are like us, the princess, or what have you. Meaning, when I say easy, I mean she didn't have to achieve it. She didn't have to fight or sweat or bleed for that ending. The character, I'm saying, in whatever movie or, you want to talk about. You can think about it as, a chick flick. Tell me when things go really bad for, like, the female character that we're supposed to be identifying with. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. So don't ever discount how susceptible we are to narratives, the idea of the way things should be tied up in a little neat bow. Also, and dads, please be careful with this. Do not tell your daughters or your sons, but generally boys don't get told this. You deserve this. You deserve a man who will ... You should have this. And I know it's hard for men, and I think a lot of the boomer parents did this. I think they told the daughters, you're going to have, I want you to have everything you deserve. You should have everything you deserve. You can have it all. What men were ever told, what little boys were ever told, you can have it all? None. Never. That never happened. If you're a guy and you were told as a kid you can have it all, please tell me, because I would be shocked. I was not told I could have it all. I personally was not told I deserve this. My mother specifically told me, you're not special, you're not unique. So that's a little aside. She said, in God's eyes, yes. Other than that, no, you're not special, you're not unique. So I never grew up thinking I deserve this, I should have that. And so it's astounding to me that there are humans, females, that's who they are, that think this, that they deserve this. So that's where it starts to become, as he says, what did he say? Did he say conjured up, or did I think of that? I think I must have thought of that. I'm just scanning it. Anyway, yeah. When things happen to us, like life, and it's not sunshine and rainbows, well, that's injustice. Like, oh, sweetie, that's life. That's how life is. Life is really, really tough. Anyway, yeah, it is scary how delusional they could be. He says, honestly, a bit scary too. Well, yeah, and I especially think if you don't have any idea where it's coming from, you're like, this person is crazy. And delusional, it's a type of crazy. I'm wondering now if some of the anger out there is to do with reality proving to be different than their creation. Yes, it is. And it's not, it's anger, but it's more like, it's anger like a toddler has anger. I'm gonna stomp my feet. It's really that type of anger. It just comes out, they have way more power because they have the state behind them. Achieving a happy partnership and a stable family is hard work. We're told, in my lifetime, it's always been like, oh, it's hard work. Is it? How much is it extra hard because we're not in our proper roles? Is it extra hard when both people have a career and then both people have to do the housework and nobody's clearly the boss and everything's supposed to be negotiated between the two? You can't have two captains of a ship. Is it hard the same way if the man is a man and the woman is the woman and the children are the children and they all recognize God? I don't think it's as hard work in that situation as we think about it now. I think it's hard work when you're not in the proper roles because you're busy fighting with and competing with each other. Because women will compete with you. If it's equal, it's not equal. She's going to want to compete. She's going to want to be important. She's going to want to be the boss. She's going to feel like you're if she knows her place and she's comfortable in that role, don't think it's going to be that hard. I've talked to women who actually are stay-at-home moms. They've actually managed to make it work. not so hard for them. Do they go through stuff in life? Yes. But is it hard to be married? No. So yeah, it's hard work if you don't have a woman who wants to be cooperative. Pushing things off to wait for the ideal man. Yeah, well, they're gonna wait for, what they deserve. They always think, well, I should have better. Well, what does that even mean? It means he's supposed to make her happy. That's the other thing. She's raised up to think that other people are responsible for her happiness and that she's somehow entitled to be happy. They're raised up to think that way. Absolutely raised up to think that way. And sometimes it's dads, I would say not fathers, but dads who never want to see their little girl cry. And she's so precious. And yes, you love her, but love her enough to tell her the truth that this life doesn't owe her anything. You can wish the best for her. You can, but don't take away her responsibility in having that best, right? And I think that does not get done with a lot of girls. And like a lot of dads, even, boomer dads, and probably before that, telling women and little girls, because they never want to see them disappointed or cry or this or that they deserve everything, that I hope you have it all, that if any man ever hurts you, blah, 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 blah. Don't tell her that. Don't tell her that. Oh, where does all this fantasy stuff come from? Well, I hope that answers the question. It's one of those answers that it's like, I feel worse now, right? Because you're like, oh, but from my opinion, that's what I think. Okay, this is the one that I was like, I need to respond, in person, so to speak. It is from Bobby Scalca. I can't see it. It's ... BOBBYSCALCHI, and then it goes off. And probably if I was using my computer for this, I would have the whole thing. But you know who you are. Hello. All right, this is what he says. I have a serious question I think I have the answer to, but I want to hear other women's opinions. Being a little experienced, being married for 10 years and divorced, and having, about 8 to 10 relationships that ended in 25 years due to monkey branching, I think I understand modern women fairly well. They have a tendency to go through changes fairly often, every 3 to 5 years or so. Very astute, sir. Why is it that the majority of women today don't truly know who they really are and continue to be consistent in who they are from traditional marriage age of 23, like my parents' generation? Did he say his age? I don't think so. He's probably Gen X. Like my generation. They always seem to have some kind of identity crisis every 3 to 5 years in finding themselves. I mean, I get it. We all have to grow in life. But the radical changes of influence I've seen when a woman jumps from one man to the next and to the next is profound. The maturity really isn't there. Maybe we make life more complicated in our own heads by comparing our own lives to others all the time. As George Carlin used to say about life, what's the big mystery? You wake up, send the kids off to school, go to work, come home, eat dinner, take one good poop, go to bed, and do it all over again. That's sad that that's what it boiled down to, but I have comments on that. Anyway, yes. One of the things I told Bobby was that this might be one of my most controversial opinions. Some of you are going to disagree with it, but I'm going to focus on the every 3 to 5 years, and sort of changing it up every 3 to 5 years. Because we already sort of talked about, why they're never satisfied, why they always think they want more. I think we know, besides that and thinking, oh, I deserve more, I'm searching for my happy ending and all that I deserve. Monkey branching, aka hypergamy, is natural in women. It's part of female nature. It's not good. It needs to be tempered. It needs to be something that is not available to us. But with social media, and there's all these guys that are always liking everything that a woman puts on there, they think, oh, there's all these men and they all want me. They don't want you as a wife, okay? And they're liking lots of other chicks. So I want to focus on what he said about women sort of having identity crisis and almost like reinventing themselves every 3 to 5 years. Because what I think it is I think it's because I'm like so embarrassed. Like, okay, this is what I think it is. I think it's because as women, our role is to be helpmeet to the man. We are supposed to be the wife. In being a good wife, your identity and agenda needs to be as his wife. So when you are a woman and you are fully committed to being a man's wife, you are committed to his agenda. You're like, okay, I'm on board. I'm going to be your helpmeet, whatever that means. It's specific to that man, That's why it's important to vet. And, women might be like, well, pick a good one. There's lots of good men out there. Pick a good one. Get on board and let's go. Be part of his team, right? But he's the captain. Now, when you do that as a woman, when you are rooted in that identity as his wife and you are supporting his agenda. Now remember, women, he loves you more than anything in the whole wide world, and your happiness is important to him. Your well-being is important to him. He's going to prioritize it. That is what they do. So get rid of all this, oh, what if he abuses me or he's going to control me? They don't want to do that. That is not what they want to do, okay? If they wanted to do that, they'd do it. They're stronger than us. They're smarter than us. They would totally do it. But anyways, so when you root your identity in being his wife, his helpmeet, boom, solid, rooted. Every day, that's who you are. That is how I believe we are designed. That is our correct role. When women do not do that and find their own path, their own identity, well, it doesn't stick. And that's I think that's part of the proof that I'm right. Sorry. I think that's part of the proof that is how that women are supposed to be in a certain role where they don't just decide who they're going to be. Because what you see with women then every 3 to 5 years, he's totally right. It's almost like they're playing dress up. It's like, what Halloween costume am I going to be for the next 3 to 5 years? Oh, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get my master's. Oh, I think I'm going to have a baby. I don't need a man. Like, it's always like something else because they're searching for that identity. Why are they searching for it? Why is it never satisfying? That's what he's asking. And I'm saying it's never satisfying when women try to find their own identity. It's never satisfying. It's never fulfilling because they're looking for it in career. They're looking for it in their own accomplishments, whatever that is. Like, I have a nail business, whatever their silly, meaningless thing is. No. It's when you get in your proper role and do as God created you to do. There's no changes that need to be made because you know why? First, you're going to be a young bride. You're going to be your husband's lover. Soon you're going to start popping out babies. You're going to have the young babies. You're going to be hot and heavy and have the young baby. Like, that's what it's going to be. Then as you get a little older, you're going to have a lot of, you're going to have the children. You're going to start schooling them. This is my perfect world. This is far from Eden's perfect world. You start schooling them. You get a little more serious because you're schooling them. You're teaching them about the Bible. You're teaching them manners. You're teaching them arithmetic and how to read. And, things slow down a little bit with hot and heaviness with your husband, but you're still, keeping things hot as much as you can and, never turning them down. And then as your children start to get older, eventually you get to the point where you don't have children anymore. What I'm saying is there are natural stages within that proper role that we go through, including then becoming grandmothers. Then you're hugging the little babies all over again. Have you ever noticed? They're really getting it out of some of the women, but I noticed it before they stamped it out completely. I certainly noticed it with some women when they would hit like 50 or whatever, and they'd start and you've probably seen it too, even women in their 40s, they start thinking about babies again. I think it's because they're supposed to be grandmas by then. If you think about when we're fertile, if you start having babies at 20 and your kid has babies at 20, then by the time you're 50, you could have a 10-year-old grandkid. Am I right? Did I mess my math up? So, at 45, you should be rocking grandbabies. But you got 45-year-olds out there like, I can still have babies. No, sit down, Grandma. Go home, Grandma. But anyway, that's my controversial take on why the identity crisis that we women have every 3 to 5 years and why we can't find ourselves. It's because you're denying who you are. There's no need to find who we are. It's obvious. And if you don't believe in God, if you're secular, I'm sorry, look at nature. There's a male and a female of a species. There's a female too. They go in nature and try to find me a male and a female of a species, and somebody's going to be like, well, actually the seahorses, you know what I mean. Generally speaking, nature says, this is what the female does. And that's where things work the best. And at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, well, nature says that, and who made nature? God. So end up at the same place. But anyways, thank you guys for hanging out, and I really enjoy your comments. Like I said, please don't forget to hit like. I always forget in the middle because I'm too excited about what I'm talking about. So if you've made it this far, please hit like if you like it. If you don't have to. I understand. But yeah, please do that. It helps it get out to more people, and that's, at the end of the day, I want this message to be helpful to as many men as it can be. And if it can be helpful to some women, that would be great, because I know when I started learning this stuff, I already was a little primed for it based on everything I've been through, but for me it was a relief. I was like, man, it's such a relief, because everything else just felt like trying to fit like a square peg into a round hole, the whole career thing, like that just never did feel natural. But yeah, women would be so much happier, use their word, so important to them, go home and have babies, go home and make your house clean and warm and lovely, and so your husband has a smiling face and warm food to come home to. If you love him, that's what makes you happy. If that doesn't make you happy to serve those you love, you might be a sociopath or something, because I don't know. I don't think that makes a man controlling. I think that speaks a lot about a woman. If it's somehow offensive to her to like please those whom she claims to love. Anyway, I'm getting off on a whole other thing. Good to hang out with you guys. Take care of yourselves, please. Love you, and I'll see you on the next one.